Okay, welcome back to my channel, May Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we have an extremely exciting, well, they're all exciting, but this one particularly, if you can't see my shelf behind me, I'm particularly excited to be talking to Matt, who is the founder of The Broken Binding, one of the most coveted subscription SFF boxes out there. And we thank you so much for giving us your time and coming on here to talk to us today. But I do like to give our guests just a little bit of an introduction moment to do a self-introduction, kind of let us know who you are and what you do in the book space. Who wouldn't mind?
That's always a difficult question, just because I think that as the company's got bigger, it's my jobs have changed, and so I'm Matt, and I run The Broken Binding. Started off as a Waterstones bookseller and went off on my own, and I've done every job. I've done customer service, I've done dispatch, which is probably my favorite job, art direction. I've done, setting up the subscription, meeting up with the fulfillment center, working with the fulfillment center, going to meet the publishers, every aspect of it. I've been the driver as well. I've gone to Coventry multiple times to go pick up bits and packaging and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, there's an endless list of jobs. I apart from IT, I can't do IT. I used to, when the subscription first started, not when the subscription first started, when we did the Faithful and the Fallen books, the first load of them that we sent out, I didn't know what a CSV file was at that point, and I used to copy and paste everybody's details into click and drop, which took me 16 hours to do 500 books or around that. So I've learned a lot since it started, but that was horrendous. I mean, when the Dandelion Dynasty, we started shipping that, I was nearly crying because I was passed away to do this. So,
God. Well, it's funny hearing you say that, because a lot of us who do the booktube content, we start figuring it out. I didn't know how to edit. My first couple of videos are horrendous.
Yeah, it's horrendous. Yeah, it's like learning the technical stuff is so important, but until you're put in a position where you really need it, you don't start looking for it, so you don't know. I used to spend hours copy and pasting just addresses and customs and all that sort of stuff into every single box on the Royal Mail labels, and I used to handwrite them when we first started because we went through the post office. But yeah, if you're going to start a business, I'd recommend going directly through the Royal Mail, just because no offense to the post office, but they'll rip you off. So
learn as you go, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, though.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, please.
I was going to say it's far cheaper to do it directly through click and drop if you're in the UK. It's the best way of doing it.
Well, I just wanted to put a couple comments up here. We have people in chat. Philip Chase saying, congratulations on the great success of The Broken Binding.
Thank you.
I second that. Steven says, you still don't. I guess referencing that you know what you're doing. He did say on Twitter he was going to come here and
Steven's a menace.
you. So
yeah, he says good chirp. He said, come on here and chirp you. So we're
Oliver Gray. Yay, caught the stream. Thanks for being here.
The wonderful Oliver Gray. Brilliant author. Brilliant author.
Yes.
And
very much so.
The Iron Crown's going to be going out on, I think it's Tuesday, I believe. Monday, Tuesday, it's going to start shipping our press editions, which is exciting. I'm really excited to get them out. It's always incredible to see them stacked up together, but even better, when people start receiving them. Put a lot of work into the prep. Well, we put a lot of work into every edition, but the press editions are a bit more sort of internal. So,
Oh, I'm sure. I have a Blood and Fire, and I'm eagerly waiting the fall. So,
but we'll be going out soon. Actually, with the books are done. We're just waiting on the slipcases. There was a slight issue with the blocking on the slipcases. They wanted to break the image up, and I said I can't break the image up and don't want to. So Richard at CPI, he's a real good man. He went up to meet the cases on Wednesday, I believe it was, to see how they're going to get about not sort of breaking up the image and blocking it, and they've managed to do it. So they should be coming through pretty quickly now. But the book's ready to go. It's just the slipcases. There's always something this way. I've learned, there's always something out of your control that trips you up no matter what you do. It's never fun, when something like that happens. We've got delays on the Tainted Cup and Nettle and Bone at the moment, which is irritating, but there's not much we can do about it, unfortunately. It's just we're at the mercy of the printers. So
it's fascinating to hear what goes on in the background.
There's loads of people. It's incredible to think how many people actually put how many people work on a book. I think from the press side, I was talking to someone about this the other day, and you've got off the top of my head, there's at least 10 people that it really goes through before it's sort of ready to go. And I didn't realize that the other day. Until the other day, sorry. It was, it's very interesting thinking about it that way, because there's so many different people that work on them that really, books are their life. They love them, and producing special editions is a really, really cool thing. And it's cool to know so many people that are into that and that work on the projects. But I didn't realize till the other day the amount of people we actually work with to get the special editions to where they are.
I definitely want to get into all of the success and the details of what you go through today. But before we dive deeply into that, I wanted to ask a little bit more about your origin story. So as far as I know, that story is that you decided that you were going to message Chris Wooding, the author of Ember Blade, and said, if I can get 100 copies of your book signed, will you sign them and give them?
I know he's it's better than that. I asked if I sold 100 copies of the Ember Blade, would he send me a signed hardback edition of it? And he said, yeah. He said, but I'd be in competition with his mum. And then I managed to sell 100 copies, and he sent me a signed copy. I'm really grateful. And then I spoke to Justin Call, Master of Sorrows, and he sent me book plates with over from the US, and it was the first time I'd really sort of taken a moment to actually look at the what a book plate was, and from there I started speaking to other authors and getting them into the store. As Waterstones, Matthew Ward came over for a sign-in, and he started building up a like a small sort of contacts list of authors, and building up book plates. But I didn't really get into doing it myself until is like sort of mid-COVID. I think I was kind of in the right place at the right time, in a sense. But I bought a tin of Yu-Gi-Oh cards because the local library was shutting and the kids had nowhere to play them anymore. They used to do it there on a Sunday or something like that. So I was like, well, I'll keep the store open. It's afterwards, if you want, and your parents can come down, and the teenagers can come down. We put tables out and you can all play. I just felt really bad for them because it's I didn't want them to get picked on if they went to, say, like a local pub or something to play. So I was like, you can come to the bookshop and play. I'll set up a competition and all that sort of stuff. So I bought some cards myself, and turns out the cards that I bought were worth quite a lot of money. So I sold them on eBay during the lockdown and got £300 from it, and put it into starting the business. Made Twitter and did some giveaways, and did some signed book plate editions of books, and people really liked them, and it just went from there, really. So
it's a beautiful example of good karma. You did something good for someone else, and it came back to you. I love that.
Right place, right time is luck. I asked my dad to borrow £100 when I first started, and he told me to fuck off. So he's gutted now.
Oh man, that's a big See what I did? So what was my final question then about the origins is, what was your aha moment to ask Chris? Because I can say from our perspective, from the broken binding, that's you, from page twoing perspective, I've learned through doing this with PL and Steve, who originally started it, I was scared to reach out to people, but these two showed me the amount of connections they were able to make just by asking is incredible. Most people will say yes if you ask. So I'm wondering, what was that moment that made you think, I'm going to message Chris now?
I just really like the book. I really like the book. I used to work in a pub, and I nearly lost my job because I'd sit on the step and just read. When the Ember Blade came out, I was just reading that. I'd ignore people when they asked for a drink, just because I wanted to finish the chapter or something. And so I really do love the Ember Blade. It's one of the best books I've read in recent years. It's I don't know, it's got that classic element to it, but it kind of feels like it twists towards the end and becomes very, like, sort of, not, I wouldn't say grim dark, but very dark. It's got a real dark twist towards the end of it, and I just absolutely love that. So I love the book, and I just thought I'd sod it. I'll message Chris, try my luck, and it worked out for me. So that's pretty.
It's an understatement to say it worked out. I love that, though. I really do. So I guess we can get a little bit more into what the Broken Binding is doing now. So I would like to start with kind of the structure of it. So your origin story, you mentioned you got signed books, got some signed book plates, and you started as like an online store specializing in signed books and like special editions in that way. And then, if I have my timeline right, after that, you released the Dragon's Hoard, which is like a kind of back page where you can access even nicer special editions with the sprayed edges and all the accoutrements. And then from there, the subscription spawned from that. Is my timeline correct, or am I incorrect?
Yeah, I think so. We started up the I started up the regular store, and our first special edition was the Desert Prince, I believe, and then that was in, when was that? When was the Desert Prince? Was that 2 years ago now? I think it was 2 years ago now. PV Brett. We did the Desert Prince, and then we tried our luck with the Faithful and the Fallen, and asked Pam McMillan and said, "Look, we've done the Desert Prince. Would it be cool to do the Faithful?" And they said yes. And we got the block sprayed editions, and we did like this launch video for it. It was all very cool and so excited. And then I think we did Prince of Thorns, and then we've decided that we're starting to do a few more special editions. We should probably start looking at producing a special edition store, and looking at a potential subscription. I can't remember if the Dragon's Hoard launched before or after we launched the special edition store, but the plan with the special edition store was to split it so that you could, I don't know why we called it the Broken Binding Sub. It's the stupidest thing I've possibly done, because everybody thinks it's the subscription, and it's not. It's just the subscription special edition store. So I'm going to try and change it to the Broken Binding SE or something like that at some point, just to sort of save confusion. But we launched that one, but then there was an issue with iOSS, which was an absolute pain. So again, if anybody's in the UK and they're struggling to sort out iOSS, check out a company called SimplyVat. They'll be able to help you out with getting your own iOSS number, and you can go on our page and go down to the EU section to see what the taxes are. They charged me £1,000 to see how much tax each country should be charged for, because books have got a lower VAT rate in certain European countries. They charged me £1,000 to find out that information. So if anybody wants it, it's down at the bottom of the page for free. Don't waste your money with them. Just get in touch with them and use our page for the discounts. But for the discounted rate, sorry. But yeah, so we launched the sub site and then kept the original site because that one still had iOSS on it. And then eventually, once we'd sorted out the iOSS, we finally transferred the EU stuff onto that page. But yeah, it was about a year between that. I actually got really lucky. Daphne from Illumicrate helped me out with that. So, you know, I've made some really good friends. Sorry if that doesn't make any sense. I realize I just rambled on about it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So you had to work out a couple of different, back end
There's
stuff
loads of
before you
things
could kind of put everything together.
Yeah.
And then when you released the subscription, we were talking a little bit backstage, but you had mentioned that you didn't expect it to become the Goliath, behemoth, amazing thing that it is. I mean, you have, what is it, a 6-year wait list?
The tier 1's so long now that we've had to, you can only sign up and get onto tier 2, and tier 2 get priority to get onto tier 1, because tier 1's looking at about 10 years now. But I think there's thousands of people on the wait list still. It's it's difficult to manage, and it is getting a lot more popular than I ever expected. I think that the more that we do, the better it's going to become. We're working on we're putting thousands of pounds worth of artwork into the books now, and every part of them is sort of being changed to a certain extent, apart from the dust jacket. If we really like the original dust jacket, we'll keep the original dust jacket. I do want to do more reverse dust jackets, but there's limits to what you can do, because if you want like foils on the front of it, apparently that damages it on the other side, and then I think they're easily damaged on the other side anyway. So our next subscription series will keep the original jackets, just because I really like them. But it's going to be a really, really popular series, I think. I'm very excited to announce it.
As a subscriber, I'm waiting with bated breath.
Wait to see the foils, man. They're amazing.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Well, you had mentioned that I didn't know her name. Someone was named Daphne over at Illumicrate, but that someone else from the other subscription boxes has kind of helped you out with this. And that was something I was curious about, because a lot of the other sub boxes before, as someone who loves pretty things, I've wanted to subscribe to a box for a long time, but they often came with, other accoutrements, or was a little more YA focused, which wasn't really my wheelhouse anymore. So when the Broken Binding came out, from my perspective, it really seemed to fill a gap that was in that particular market. And I'm curious, when you say it just kind of naturally occurred that it became this popular and all of that. But when you were thinking of doing backlist instead of new releases, when you were thinking of the types of books you wanted to kind of emphasize, were you trying to fill a different market, or do you think it was just to your taste?
It's mostly just to my taste. That's the I know that we can't really go down the line of doing the same books as sort of the big crates, because we're never going to compete with them. But I don't really want to either. I kind of like doing what we do, and I quite like doing backlist, because there's so many books that I really want in hardback personally, that I think a lot of people want as well. You go on the internet and you try and find, say, the Powder Mage, for example. I remember trying to find them in hardback, and you just couldn't get them anywhere. And so if we can do something cool to them and get them back into hardback, so subscribed can get them on their shelves, and that's the main thing for me. Like when I was looking at Pedidio Street Station end of last year, I wanted that book in hardback for a while, and that it was like £300 for a first edition, and it wasn't signed either. So we've done the original jacket, and it's signed. I don't know if is it numbered? I think it's numbered, but it's got all the all the fancy specs on it, so we've made it look nicer. And it's £30, so it's like it's 10% of the price that they were selling them on the second hand market, and it looks way better and it's signed. So with the subscription, it's always stuff like that. But of course, as it gets bigger and people respond to what we're doing more, we do like to listen to what other people want as well. It's not sort of just my taste. I do try to take other people, the subscribers, what I think they'd like as well. I think that's where it's changed in well, I wouldn't say in recent years, because I seem to have the same taste as pretty much everybody that subscribes now. Most people, we don't get that many skips, and we do quite well. Not many people skip. I think that there's a level of trust there now as well, especially with some of the titles we pick where people don't really know them and aren't too sure. I think we've done a fair job so far. I just hope it can continue. But I think this year's full of big. From now on, it's the next 3 series are pretty big series.
Big.
Yeah.
Well, I can say, from my perspective, I appreciate that you were able to, or you focused on, at least in the beginning, making those editions that are hard to get, because Dandelion Dynasty, that I had that, and that was one of my most prized possessions. Because awesome. what the trad pub companies did to those hardbacks is unforgivable. So the fact that I have the pretty edition.
With this, where they changed the spines, or
oh my god, I can't. It's crime. But speaking of big things coming out, this is a series I haven't read. I know PL is a fan, and I also, when I got comments on the post sharing that we were going to do this chat, and we also have one from Philip here, so I think the people want to know about Malazan. So Philip says, I'm incredibly excited for the Broken Binding special edition of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Anything Matt can tell us about it?
So they're going to be shipping in sets of 3. So we're going to start off with the first 3 books to begin with. We've just had the cover art finished for Dead House Gates, and we're moving on to Memories of Ice now. Petrix doing a great job with the art direction of that. It's nice to still be involved as well. But to be fair to him, Petrix really enjoyed himself. We're going to have so Felix Ortiz is doing the cover art. We've got the artwork beneath by Mark Simonetti. We were going to look at doing one big picture on the edges of the books, but I feel like it's risky because we're not doing some of them until later on. So we've got this new style that we've recently sort of seen and really like, and Katrina's really good at it. So Katrina's going to be doing the edges, and they're going to look really cool. There's like it's like the edge will be made up of, there's like a border, colored border with like loads of little pictures making up sort of so I'm hoping we get Moonspawn on there, and all sorts of stuff. It'd be really awesome. And then internally there's going to be 2 pieces of art just as the end papers, because it's difficult to include artwork in sort of the trad published books, because we don't get as much control as we do when we work on the TVB press books. But as well, we don't have as much control, and also there's more people involved, so it gets very difficult to do that kind of thing. And so there's 2 ways of doing special editions, really. There's going directly through the publishers, or there's doing it through subbing the rights from the publishers. But that's not really something that's done much in the UK. So most companies go directly through the publishers, so you have to play by their rules, if that makes sense. Like they're good people, and they want to make the best product that they can, but it doesn't open up as many doors as it does when you're working on your own, because you've got the freedom to, you know, if you don't want to use that printer, you can use that printer. They can do this, that, and everything else. These ones can't do that, but they can do this. So you can go, well, I want that from them, and then you can send it over to them to do that. You can't do that with bigger publishers because they've got contracts that they have to abide by. You know, they can't break the contracts. They can sort of, you know, if edge capacity's running a bit low, they can outsource that. But, you know, printing the books and stuff, you know, they've got contracts with companies that they just can't break. Whereas we don't have that. We're not tied down on that with the press. But with Malazan, as I say, we're gonna do illustrated end papers. I think Stephen is signing all of the books. I'm pretty sure he might even be starting to sign them soon, which is exciting. But we'll be doing signed editions, and then I'm very hopeful that I've ordered up enough copies, because it's impossible to tell. We've got more copies than we've ever had before for anything else, and it's likely that there'll be a small second batch that will ship in September for Malazan as well. But then after that, if they sell out, we will do some unsigned reprints as well next year, just because you know, they're so hard to get hold of in hardback, and the paperbacks, for some reason, they're like this big, and then they're like this big towards the end, and it's irritating, man. And you know, no one wants that. So I want to get these out to as many people as possible. We're going to try and do it, you know, at the best price we possibly can. But you know, it's everything sort of adds to the cost of it. I mean, I think the artwork alone for the whole series is going to cost us about 70 grand. So yeah, artwork's expensive, man. So you know, we're putting a lot of money into this and working.
Don't mind me, I'm recovering from that number. Good Lord.
Wow.
Yeah, it's you know, we're putting a lot into this. It's a dream project for me, at least. You know, I love Malazan, and it's something that I can't believe how lucky we are to have got. I messaged Penguin about Malazan on our first year and put the pitch in. Didn't hear anything back. And then I kept chasing them like every other month, being like, "Could we do Malazan? Could we do Malazan? Could we do Malazan?" And then I met a rep who turns out he was good friends with somebody that I know, and he put me in touch with Stephen's editor, Simon, who's a really good man, and he said that he'll try and sort something out. And then it just all went through, and it was like, yeah, we're good to go. But yeah, so we managed to get acid-free paper on the books, but we can't get sewn bindings. Everybody has been asking about that, and you know, we're not trying to not. Initially, it was more about the cost of it, but at this point in time, it's not even about that anymore. The printer just can't do it. I've asked Penguin, and they've flat out said no. And you know, we've had a fair few people ask about it, but as I say, there's literally nothing we can do at this point. And unfortunately, you know, they won't have signed bindings, but they'll have acid-free paper, and they'll have everything else, and we'll try and do them for as cheap as possible. You know, we're aiming for a maximum of 150, but I'd like to do them cheaper than that if possible. You know, as I say, it's just very expensive putting all of these together, you know. And then you imagine if you've got to buy all the sets as well to begin with, that's another load of money. It's a lot of money. So we're looking forward to it, and I think they're going to do very well. I mean, wait till you see the second piece of artwork. It's fantastic. I really like the first piece. The second piece is very it's not something I've seen done for a Malazan book or anything like that before. I think the Siege of Pale, you know, we had to choose that scene for the dog's kicking off. We had to choose that scene because it's so iconic, you know. But we will be doing stuff internally as well. We're hopeful that we can do some really cool art, you know. I think It's not fully confirmed yet, just because Randy's working on another project for us. But Randy should be doing a piece of art for the first 3 books as well, and then we'll be working with another artist yet as well. Sorry, so that's exciting, but yeah, sorry.
No, absolutely. This is amazing news. I know I want to give a chance because Stefan Aaron asked a question directly about, he asked how Stephen Erickson feels about the special editions, if you have any feedback there.
I think he really likes the first Dust Jacket. I haven't actually spoke to Stephen. I'd like to, but I haven't really had much contact. As I say, it's a bit different with sort of the UK and the US. We go directly through the publishers, so all of our stuff is feeding through the publishers, and they're feeding it through to Stephen. So there's not really a direct contact. A lot of authors now we do know personally, so whenever we're doing a project, I'll just message the author now and say, what would you like to see as the artwork for this? And it's really cool, because it must be really cool to have written a book and to have the opportunity to work on artwork. But so some people might not like that, but if it was me, I'd be so happy. So most of the authors are really keen to work on it. I think Stephen's pretty chuffed that we're doing some special editions, because I don't think, apart from Sub Press, I'm not too sure if there's been any other special editions. So I think these will be the first trad style special editions of this series ever printed. So yeah, it's going to be epic. Yeah,
that is incredible. Philip put up a comment that he's very happy regarding taking it easy on his vision. With I'm the same. I'm older than Philip, and those I love the bigger print, and I haven't. I haven't had the budget yet for a lot of the special editions, but once I retire, I plan to get into some of them. But yeah, I on that note, I want to bring up, we have some fantastic people in the chat, some booktubers, readers, authors. In terms of the authors, we have some wonderful authors in the chat. Philip Chase, of course, self-published with the wonderful Edan trilogy, which is one of my top completed indie trilogies for certain. Stefan Aaron, a brilliant traditionally published writer, if I'm not mistaken. Stefan, correct me. I think he's also going to venture into the self-published realm. I think I've seen some of his videos that's part of his plan. And then, of course, Ellen McCrae, and her covers are just like all those authors have great covers. I'm just mad that I can't get LLs on Amazon in Canada like that, so I'm actually planning to come.
I've heard that it's quite difficult to get books in, especially self-pub books in Canada and Australia and New Zealand and places like that. And I also see that Amazon, sometimes they're like $40 or £40 for a paperback, man, and it's just baffling. I don't know why they do that. It's kind of, I don't know. It's odd, I don't know if it's because it's not their create space or something like that. But it must be irritating, we're very fortunate, because we've got a fair few. I could send you a copy, actually. I'll send you a copy over if you want.
Oh my gosh! Well, you know what? I wouldn't want to spend the week, but I am coming to Scotland for Worldcon this summer. So hopefully I'll see you at some point in the next while. I'm also planning a separate trip to the UK, hopefully the following year. Just England only. So to see all my British writer friends who live more the south end. So, but that's a very generous offer, man. Thank you so much. I'll hopefully we can meet up in person, and I can.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Worldcon. We're gonna have, I think we've got 3 tables for Worldcon, so we're gonna be taking a lot of stuff up there. But thankfully, I haven't had to arrange any of that. I like speaking to people there, and when it's on, but I just hate moving stuff around. It's I'd rather just go and enjoy myself and speak to people. Moving stuff around. I remember the first fantasy con I went to, and took ages unloading the car, and then you're leaving stuff there all night, and you're worried. And about leaving it there, and then you have to pack it all up at the end of the week, and it's a bloody nightmare. So that's going to be sorting that out for me this time around, which is good. I think Stephen's been helping out actually, so thank you, Steve. Thank you, Stephen.
he says look for you two at the bar. So we'll find you there, Wilcon. Yeah, I don't doubt
get
it.
A glass of water.
I hope tracking guys down. I'm still hoping against hope that Taylor might show up, but we'll see.
Yes, I haven't bought the ticket yet, but this month it's looking like it's gonna happen.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Okay, wow.
That'd be amazing. I quickly want to dive into while we were talking about this. I know Taylor, we have so many questions for you, but we talked a lot about let's talk about these authors, these brilliant authors, Philip L. Stephen among them. You're kind of at the cutting edge, Matt, of what's going on with publishing in general, both traditional and independent publishing. You're kind of at the cutting edge there. Where is this industry going? I mean, you have this plethora of incredible indie books that are selling like hotcakes. You have these authors like the Ryan Cahills who are, I mean, they're blowing up, right? You have people like Philip Chase and LL and all these wonderful authors, and then you have brilliant traditionally published authors like the Stephanarians and the Stevenarians and all of these great authors. But where is the industry going?
I don't know. I think that indie's definitely grown in the last few years. It kind of seems to have shot through the roof recently. Our regular store is we sell a fair few books through there, and a lot of those are indie. But I think that's people might be coming to us because they're signed and they're usually cheaper than Amazon. So I think that we've got that on our side, but I don't know, man. It's I think it's quite a hard question to answer. I think that trad's always going to have a place, but indie is definitely blowing up. I think that I think the big difference between both of them is obviously with indie you have to put a lot more sort of work in on the sort of side because you're the publisher and the author, But I think it's a really hard question to answer, if I'm honest with you. I don't know. I think that there's like a middle ground, isn't there, where you've got sort of professional indie authors that do it as a full-time job, that are very, very successful at what they do, that are sort of seem to be doing really, really well at the moment, and I'm not too sure. I think people have I don't know, maybe I honestly couldn't say, if I'm honest. I don't know. I think that there's I think that personally, I like both. There's I think they're both really interesting, and you can't really sort of tell the difference between them most of the time now. I don't think that there's any difference between them anyways, to be honest with you. I mean, the only difference in our eyes is that we can do more things with an indie author because there's not really any. We can write the contract as we go. There's no sort of rules in place at the moment to say, oh, you can't do this, you can't, like our indie endless editions. We're just launching that. It was going to be the Indie Legacy, but Ryan said that Endless would be a better name, and I agreed with him. He was on the phone to me. He's like, "No, you got to call it the Endless Edition." I was like, "Okay, man, I think that's a really cool name." So we've got the opportunity now, to print special editions just constantly, just flat out. We'll do so many on a print run. So it will say first print run, second print run, third print run inside the books, but there'll be special editions and they'll be signed and they'll be constantly in stock. And we can do that with indie endless editions because, it's a lot easier for us to do that. I don't think we'd be able to do that trad. We probably could, but it'd be harder. Whereas with these new editions, it's makes life easier for us. But in regards to where the industry's going, I don't really know. I think that there's going to be a place for both going forward for forever. I can't see anything happening to the industry at all. I also like, I was worried about there being like a golden age of special editions and then them just falling off the hill, but I don't think that's going to happen either now. I think that they're both grown and they're here to stay. If I'm honest with you, I think that as I think I said it in an interview the other week, when the Kindle came out, all the booksellers were worried that they'd lose the jobs and, that books wouldn't sell anymore because people be reading on Kindle. But now people just read on the Kindle and read the physical book as well. They buy a physical book. And I've gone off topic so much here. If I'm trying to
That's
say,
okay.
I really can't predict.
No.
It's so difficult.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
not
it's
at
so
all.
difficult. As I say, I think that personally,
well, I would argue that even if it's hard to predict where it's going, I think what you've done has had an effect already on where it will be. Because I can say from, a purchaser's perspective, someone that buys from you guys all the time, one of the things that's so impressive is you see a trad book next to a self-pub or indie book, but you can't tell because you guys don't talk about it in that way. They're put together in the shop. They're put together on price range and quality. Your press editions are, all indie so far, but they look nicer than a normal, trad special edition. So I would say PL's talked about this before, but the optics of like a booktuber holding up trad and indie at the same time and not even really indicating which is which. I think you've done that on a gigantic scale, presenting these beautiful editions. So I would say, even if you can't predict, I would say, please don't sell yourself short for what you've done for the indie world. Because I think you've created an amazing platform for that.
I appreciate that. We're, that's where our publishing house is going to come in soon. We're hoping to potentially look at getting print rights to big indie titles, currently big indie titles, just because it's the best way to see it sort of growing, and also the best way to sort of kick it off the ground. But we're hoping to get trade only rights to print books so that we can avoid Ingram if possible, because they make it very hard to get books in places like, say, Canada and Australia and New Zealand. If we can get books into, say, a distribution network like MDL or Penguin or HarperCollins or someone like that, if we could get something like that, Book Source or anything, we'd be able to get these titles that everybody's talking about into a bigger audience and into physical bookshops as well. So that's kind of the next stage, hopefully. So we're just working on the press at the moment. It's I've had some meetings in London, and it's very exciting. We had some good news yesterday. Our first distribution proposal came through, which is exciting. So very, very, very much love the team that sent it over as well. They're really good people. So going to be sort of hopefully having a meeting about that next week. But so that's getting off the ground now, but we can sort of it's getting there, and I think it's going to be pretty cool when we do launch it. But it's going to take time to build it. But I think that's the next stage for us to sort of bring about sort of a new hybrid style author. So they're indie on the ebook and audiobook front, but then they're trad in a sense. I'm not a professional, trad in a sense that we'd be able to get a distribution network for the books to sort of get into bookshops. But it's going to be hard work, and a slow process, but eventually I'm hoping it'll work out. So
this is what happens when you have people who are passionate about what they do behind. Like, you have some great ideas. I can't wait to see how you're going to change the industry.
all my
Huge.
best ideas come when I'm drunk. So that's when I started.
That's the way it is for every creative endeavor. So
Yeah, it was.
you're not alone there.
I was 3 bottles of wine in, and I called up Ryan. It was like 4 a.m. And I was like, "We should do a special edition of your book." And he was like, "I'm going to hold you to that." And he did, and it worked out really well. Actually, I think the Blood and Fire press editions look really cool. So
The art on the fall is absolutely incredible.
it was stunning. I'm hoping that they'll drop off the dust jacket to me today. They're supposed to be sending me the dust jackets through, just because, as I say, the books are finished, but they're going to put them into the slipcases. Well, not put them into the slipcases. They're going to send them with the slipcases, and then we'll put them into the slipcases at our end, just because I'm very fortunate. Our first fulfillment center that we had weren't very good, and I don't know if you ever received a copy of it would have been one of the first subscription books, or Prince of Thorns, but they didn't wrap it very well. They didn't care. It was sloppy.
Yeah, my first book was pretty damaged. Yeah, because it came all the way to Japan, on the side.
They didn't care how they were doing it as well. Our first fulfillment center, I found out recently they went bust, but they changed their costings after we'd agreed on things, and we lost like 30 grand or something like that. And when we just started out, it was a massive hit to take. It kind of felt like we'd built up a little bit of money, and then all of a sudden it just been taken away from us by this. They were charging us a fuel surcharge for using our own raw mail account with them, and I was like, you can't do that. So I tried to get a refund from them, and they wouldn't do it. And I found out that they've gone bust now, and
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Also, just a disclaimer for anyone in the chat: no other books have been damaged since copy binding has changed. So I don't want that to be like on record that books arrive damaged, because they don't.
Well, our second fulfillment center, they really, really care. Like they're very much. They try and catch everything. I got called in there the once, because they're about 20 minutes from my house. They called me up and asked me to go over there the once, because there was like a little line on one of the ribbons, and they were really concerned about it. They don't catch everything, but they do catch a lot. They really, really do care, and they're fantastic people. So we're very fortunate to have them. I keep losing track of what the question was. Sorry,
we're just chatting. But I did want to pull up a couple things from Joe here. He says, I do all my best writing on tequila.
This is it. It's the way forward.
And then also says, if you work with an author, can you pay them in Malazan special editions instead of money? Asking for a friend.
Malazan special edition would be so cool. We're going to do some giveaways for them as well, hopefully. I love doing giveaways, just because it's a nice way to give back to people. We're very fortunate. I feel like when I started out, we did a lot of I wouldn't say activities, but something like that, on social media. There was like questions and polls and all that. I still do Twitter because I really enjoy it. As we've got bigger, it's been more difficult to keep up with that, and I do need to hire a social media person to sort of help out. But I don't want to give it up, because I do really enjoy it, and I like talking to people. And there's people that have been on there for like 3 years, and I feel like there's a big community surrounding us now, and I feel like I'm part of the community in a sense. Even though people don't get to see my face, it's still nice to sort of speak to people on there that I would consider friends, and people that we've met, and customers that have been with us for a long time. It's just it's not me, it's through the company, and it's I know it's difficult. I really do enjoy it on there, so potentially I might make my own Twitter at some point and then hand it on to somebody else. And but yeah, no, I've completely forgot where this was going. I do apologize.
That's okay.
Giveaways. Yeah, I just enjoy giving stuff away, because that's what we did when we first started. It's kind of how the business was built, and it's more of a way to sort of give back to people for supporting us, because I know that the books can be expensive sometimes. We try to do them as fairly priced as we possibly can, and I don't think, before this, I would have been able to afford a lot of the special editions, and we've got so many people supporting us and getting behind us and that love what we do. It's really cool, and it's nice to, give back. We did a giveaway at the start of the year for every special edition that we released this year. For one person wins that on Instagram, one person wins it on Twitter. So I'm planning to do that going forward. Every year, just you get everything that we do.
That's fantastic. I mean, I can say from experience, I've always had googly eyes for Subpress, and, Curious King and Folio Society, but it's like those are like birthday gift to yourself. Pick one of the catalog and enjoy it.
They're lovely books. They do a fantastic job. I think that they're. I really like Folio Society, so I always get Folio Society gift cards for my birthday and Christmas. So I just used it on their sale. Actually, I really like history books, so they just done a sale on history books. I'm hoping that at some point we can do a special edition of a history book, and I think that this year is the year. I just want to test the water, man, because I love history books, and it's more of a sort of, I'd say it's a test. So I'm hoping that this year we could try something like that, because I don't know if most people that are into the fantasy are into history books like I feel like that's the case. So we'll see what happens there. There's some cool stuff coming out this year as well. So
I think there's a lot of fantasy readers that enjoy historical fiction. I'm certainly one of them.
Yeah.
And, but talking about all this, it's funny. I was reading this article yesterday about saying that Gen Zers are finding now that reading books are sexy, right? So they're really getting into reading it. It's cool to be.
I can't get over you said Gen Zers. I'm just gonna take a minute. You said Gen Z. I apologize, Biel.
What am I? I'm not after the baby boomers, whatever generation. That's what I am, right? Because I'm 55. But anyways, point being, so with what you're doing, Matt, I mean, just again on the outside looking in, it just seems like, and I listen, because I talk to Cheryl all the time, and I look at her bookshelf and I get FOMO. She has all these gorgeous special editions, right? And like I said, until I retire, I can't afford to get them. One day I hope to do special editions even of my own books. But the thing is, it's like, are you finding that are you even surprised at how many actual like book collectors there are, as opposed to just readers, like people who will go spend, thousands of dollars on special editions does that surprise you?
I get surprised by some of the prices that I've seen online, like 12 grand for one book and stuff like that. That surprises me. I think that's I mean, it's incredible that it's a thing, but again, I just I'm not from kind of background that can afford that kind of thing, so I think that the good thing is about special editions at the moment is, when I say that I probably wouldn't have been able to afford them, I think that they are at the moment fairly affordable, in the sense that, if you really want a book, you can get one that's a special edition for about £25 if something that pops up from us. They're usually about £25. I know our subscription tier 1 is £30. Prices are going up all the time, and we don't want to put the price, we just want it to stay at that price. So but you can usually get a special edition from us for about £20, and I think that I think that is a fair price, and I think that's why they're collectible, and it's they're a lot more people are collecting than perhaps they would have years ago, because they're accessible. They're not locked behind anything. Like, you can buy a book from a shop, and if you want a first printing and it's a really popular book, there's every chance that they're printed like 3 editions before it's even gone to out into the bookshops, and you could then you've got to try and find it, whereas you can actually see it with the special edition. It might cost you an extra £5, but that that it's usually signed and there's special features on it, and you get a little bit extra for a little bit extra money, you know. And I feel like that's why they've done so well in recent years because from what I know as well, a lot of them do hold a value as well. You can usually get, if you end up not liking the book, you can usually sell it on for around the same price. You know, sadly, people sell them on for like 50 times the price, but we've got no control over that as well. You know, we've got, once somebody owns something, we can't sort of say you can't do what you want with your own property. We're not tyrants, or can't police it. So it is what it is on that front. But I think that's why there's so many more collectors now, because they're, as I say, they're more accessible. It's an extra bit of money for extra special features, and if you don't like the book, you can usually get your money back on it. So it's standard hardback, you can't really sell it on for the same price. So it's it's like going to cash converters, isn't it? Selling it second hand. It's like you don't want to know more. You're like, here you go, and you get your money back for it. But if you take a normal book to a shop, second-hand bookshop, they'll probably give you like 50p for it, So
Yep, and it also depends on where you live. So, me being in Japan, the market for English books is, when I tell you, literally zero.
Really?
I am selling nothing here once I purchase it. So, and then shipping is the same price as the book, so to or from. But
that's another thing that's another thing that's always spiking our wheel. It's shipping costs. I argue with the Royal Mail probably every 2 months. I sit down and have an argument with them about the shipping prices. I try and get them down as often as I can, but they don't always. They're never too keen to budge. So I'm feeling like, perhaps as we get bigger, the price will come down. It will get far cheaper eventually. But it's because it's tracked as well. They're putting the price, apparently they're putting the price up on untracked ones. And the price is coming down on tracked stuff because they want to get people to do track now, because of stuff that disappears. They can find it if it's tracked. They can't if it's untracked. So I think it's costing them more money in claims now than it is, when they're not tracked. So track shipping prices should come down at some point in the near future. And then we're going to try and get a decent discount off them on that as well at some point as well. So yes. Keep an eye out for
like
that.
we were saying earlier, there's so many factors. I would have thought that would be a factor.
Yeah. There's so much to it. I mean, we looked at using Hermes, but I saw a petition. I think it was last Christmas that said that they wanted to make it a legal thing where if you used Hermes as a company, you had to tell the customer beforehand, because they're so bad at shipping that people are scared to buy from them, stores.
To do a disclaimer.
Disclaimer that they use Hermes, but they changed the name now. They're actually doing pretty good. But yeah, they're actually doing pretty good now. Apparently, they keep getting in touch with me. But I remember when I posted it up on our socials, the ones that we were looking at were, using Hermes, and it's as if we just killed an angel or something. Everyone was like, no, to flipping out, saying don't do it. So we're not going to use them. I used them once, and I'd never use them again just because of that experience. But yeah, Royal Mail should hopefully get a bit cheaper over time.
I can say it does often get here safely, so it seems to be working.
Yeah, they do a pretty decent job. We've had a few run-ins with them sometimes where I remember when they lost. They were supposed to return a load of books to us because we accidentally had the wrong weight put on them, and they were going to send them back to us and fine us for it. And they lost the stock. It turns out that it had gone from one of their hubs to the other hub, and they got to the other hub. They saw that it was our stuff, and instead of sending them back to us, they goes, "Oh well, why are these here? And they shipped them out. So we got away with it. But
at least it was in your favor that time.
Oh yeah.
The incompetence,
really
but
kicked them off, man. We were on a check for I think a week. Every week after that, they were checking us like twice a week or something like that. They were really angry about that, but it was their own mistake. Our problem was we've set up a new system where the books now, when we dispatch from the warehouse, we've got a system where it prints the labels off for you, and then it sends an email to the customer, and then we get the label straight away, and we can search a book and just put all the couple of little bits of information and just press print on the labels, and it does everything for you. Whereas before we're still doing it on the regular store, where we have to download all of the orders. So we write down a lined piece of paper, write down the orders, and we weigh every single parcel and put the weight next to every single parcel, and then we go onto the back of house and download all of the orders, and then we build a CSV file, and we have to fill out all the custom stuff on there and put it all. We still do that with a regular store, and that's why some emails come through late, because the emails, every single email for every single order and all the tracking has to be done manually. Whereas on the special edition front now, it's not like that anymore, and we're hoping to move the regular store over to the same but the same web providers as our special edition store soon, so we can jump on that. But problem is our website was taken down because they put them Netflix stickers on books. We got done for copyright infringement. Yeah, we got the copyright infringement for having a Netflix sticker on a book. I was like, "You mad? That's promotion. Oh, we can't choose that. That's the publishers." So because it took me so long to get back to them about that, though, they basically pulled apart the website in the meantime. So we've got somebody new working on it now, and it should be about 6 weeks away. It'll probably be about.
Sure, that was just a delightful email to get.
Yeah,
Great way to start your day.
It was annoying, but it is what it is. It was kind of funny. I remember the once when I first started uploading stock to the regular store, I started off with Tolkien, and they pulled my site before it went live, and they said that I had to get permission from the author to sell his books, and I was all, Tolkien's dead. How am I supposed to get permission? It's ridiculous. So they don't seem to. I don't know. There's always something that is gonna trip you up, man. There's always something that I found nothing goes smoothly.
Well, I guess on that note, then, since there's so many moving pieces, and you're still doing this with such a small staff, and you're learning as you go. What would you say is the motivating factor still that keeps you going? For me as, a booktuber, my growth, this is not me complaining, this is me just saying a fact, is incredibly slow. I love the community I've built around me. It's a beautiful thing. I love what I do. And what keeps me going is this type of thing, and the friends that I've made. So I'm curious for you, what keeps you going through all of these minutiae and all of the throwbacks and setbacks and all that?
Well, I think that same sort of thing, really. I made a lot of friends, but I just love it. It's what I do all day, every day. I don't work as not hard, but I don't work extreme hours like I used to when I first started. I was working like 16 hours a day, easy. Every single day for about 2 years. Even when I was out, I was doing stuff on my phone. I was answering emails, and I'd sneak off to the toilet to answer an email, about something, and it was like it was an addiction. Now I've got a bit more of a life outside of it, but it's still everything that I live and breathe. Looking at it now, I don't think that I could ever. I mean, it's still a young company, but I don't think I could ever sell it or anything like that. I don't think I'd have I don't know, it'd be like giving away my life. I love it to bits. I find a lot of joy in books, and it's I don't know, it's people's dreams, hopes and dreams, and there's the stories and the people, and I love book selling. I always have. I think my biggest thing for the next few years is to get a physical shop somewhere, because I miss it so much. It really is a special industry to work in. So I think that they do it because it's, as I say, it's I worked at Waterstones for years, and being able to do it for myself is incredible. But being able to do it myself in a genre that I love, is just even better. And I mean, it's cool that we're moving towards sci-fi soon. The new sci-fi sub's going to come soon. We're going to do a Halloween box, something really awesome. Yeah, there's something really awesome that I was speaking to Orbit, and they've got a really cool book coming around Halloween time. So I really, really want to do a Halloween box for it, and start doing like a spooky box every year. But stuff like that, being able to do that, and I don't know, there's something really cool about it. I've been really lucky with how well the company's done. It's a lot of hard work, but at the same time, as I say, it kind of feels like right place, right time, most of it. And it's just a passion, because we're grinding away at it every single day. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's right place, right time, and then there's also you put the work in for it. I think those two things really go together.
But
so.
But I've been very fortunate. Everyone's been really kind to me. I think that we've gotten opportunities that I couldn't believe that no one. I mean, it all sort of blew up when we did the signed editions of The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I couldn't get my breath that no one else was doing it. I thought, bloody hell, we're the only ones doing a signed edition of this. And then Goldsborough did a special edition of it, 500 copies, and we did 500 copies. Waterstones didn't do it, and I was like, what the hell? They noticed for book 2. They were like, oh shit, we better get on this. So Waterstones jumped on book 2, which is awesome. But I think that's where we really blew up, and it's kind of like being able to do that and work on titles like that, where I think that series was massive when it came out. Shadow of the Gods. I remember the buzz around that and the buzz following it. And being able to work on a book like that was just awesome. We got really lucky with that, actually. I didn't know how anything worked, at the time. So I messaged John and asked him if we could do some signed copies, and he was like, sure. So he put me in touch with his editor, and then the publishers sorted it all out for me, and and that's how I sort of learned how to do all of the little bits. But we, as I say, right place, right time with that one.
Well, you also had an amazing sense. I mean, I love that series. It's fantastic. And the art, the art is just...
yeah, it's wicked. Yeah, it's wicked.
Yeah. Well, I love hearing your passion for what you do. And I can't wait. If you start doing themed boxes, please, my bank account can't, Matt. My bank account cannot do that. But I mean, the potential for that is amazing. I mean, other sub boxes do that as well, like special edition, like event boxes and stuff, like with the certain boxes or whatever. So the potential is incredible.
I think that I don't think we take it too far. I think it mostly be sort of just Halloween, to be fair. Because I don't know. I don't know what we'd do for, like, I don't know. Do they do it for Easter and Valentine's Day and stuff like that?
I've seen some Valentine's Day ones. I've never seen Easter, but I've seen Valentine's Day, Christmas. I think I've seen a Christmas box before.
I don't know. That gives me.
I've seen that, but I think it might have been like a romance sub box. So it was like Christmas romance.
Romance, yeah.
We had to do I remember Waterstones at Christmas. We had to do a Christmas book of the year, something like that. It's like book of the month, but you choose your own. We had to do the Christmas egg, and it's like this old classic who did it sort of murder book, and I hated doing that, man. I just wanted to sell the fantasy books and stuff like that, and we was having to hand sell this book that you just didn't care about, and it's I don't know.
Well, you
Like
manifested that dream, I'd say. Now you live and breathe again. So.
Yeah, this is it. So yeah.
Well, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We're coming up on an hour and a half already. I mean, we say this every single episode, I swear, but it goes so fast. But we know you're a busy man, clearly. So we don't want to keep you for too long. And we do appreciate your time immensely. But I wanted to kind of give you a chance at the end here to say anything that you want anyone watching this or anyone in the comments to know, anything you're excited for in the future, anything you want to pitch. What can we look forward to in general from you guys? Like, I know you said you have a lot of good series coming on the sub this year. You can't expose those yet. Is there anything else you want people to know, to get ready for, prepare their wallets for?
I don't know. I think we've got a few series outside of the sub that we're going to be doing this year. We're currently working on a Blood and Bone by John Gwynn. Renee's doing artwork for that, so there's going to be a piece of artwork for each end paper. So, and then we're going to do one big battle scene across all the boards. So it'll be seven pieces of art from Renee in total. One big piece that I'm hoping he can do print.
Oh yeah.
Be wicked.
Yeah.
And then there's some really cool stuff coming towards the end of this year as well. We've got a pretty big sci-fi series that we're currently waiting on costings on. That it's not Red Rising. It's not Red Rising. Everyone's always like Red Rising. And you're like, no, I wish it was. I love
that
Red
in the
Rising.
bud, right?
Yeah, I love Red Rising. I really do. I'd love to do it at some point. I think our editions would be dark as hell, though. I really, really like the darkness in that series, and I think that we'd definitely do some artwork that'd be really, really, really dark. If we could, if the author signed it off, I should sign it off. But yeah, no, we've got some really cool series coming out. Malazan's probably the biggest project of the year, but I mean, our subscription is some exciting things coming on there. We should be announcing the next sub series on Wednesday, and then what else have we got coming? We're launching the Sci-Fi subscription soon. We're just waiting for final details on that. That's going to be exciting. There's again starting off with it's free standalones. It's not but by the same author. That's supposed to be what's launching it. Pretty big. Again, really exciting. I don't know.
Just to give people an idea who are listening, if they want to sign up for these things, or I know the sub waitlist is long, but if they wanted to get on said waitlist, where can they go to kind of do that?
For the Sci-Fi box, I think that I'll probably need to update social media. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't actually know what our social media is what the @ is. I think it's @broken something. Am I right just to double check?
On Twitter, I think it's it's backwards. So it's binding broken, _broken, I think. Because I always go to tag your account and then it never comes up. I'm like, wait a minute.
Let's have a look. Yeah. @binding _broken for the Twitter. I'll get the Instagram on. Sorry. What's the Instagram?
Daniel says, I've heard rumors that the third Bloodsworn book might be coming soon too. Woo!
Yeah.
Man, I'm ready. I heard
Philip's comment was spot on. Bloodsworn is like peak John Gwynn, and I love all of his works, but
it is fantastic.
Chef's kiss.
I just finished reading Malice again.
Yeah.
I thought it was time to sort of re-go through those, and I think John's a really, really fantastic author. As I say, I was so excited when I saw Shadow of the Gods pop up, and they agreed that we could do signed copies, and they sold out so fast. I couldn't believe it. Also, and Instagram is at the broken binding, but it's got two N's in broken. That's always been a nuisance as well. That second, the amount of emails that haven't come through because they've not had the second N on has been, bad. But yeah, we'll post
When
up
you should add it again.
Yeah, it's honestly, there's so many things I'd change if I could go back, but it is what it is now. It's annoying, but yeah, no, I think if people want to catch anything, it'll mostly be on social media. We do have a newsletter that you can sign up to by going to thebrokenbindingsub.com, but we try not to send out too many newsletters just because I personally don't like it when companies send me newsletters every 10 minutes. It's annoying. I've got like 23,000 unread emails on my regular box. So, they're always newsletters, it's just annoying. But when we do them, we try to do something, at least important. And we try to sort of do one a month or something like that. I think I get one from Oak Furniture Land every 2 weeks, or Nectar Card or something like that every day. So, but yeah,
Okay.
no, thank you for having me. It was lovely talking to you both. It's as I say, I get nervous about doing these kinds of things because it's all new to me. I've never really sort of put my face out there. It's I don't know. It's never something that I ever really thought about doing. But it's exciting to talk to people in the community because it's something I really love, but I'm kind of just always in the background, sort of admiring it rather than admiring it rather than being a part of it as such. Myself personally, the company is, but yeah.
Well, we are honored that you would come on. Truly, what you do is fascinating to me, and how humble you are about it is just incredible. I mean,
Thank you.
You would never hear the end of it if I had started the broken binding. I'd be like, I've entered the room. So
yeah.
Philip says, wonderful discussion. My thanks. Before we go, I always like to give a chance as well for my wonderful co-host, PL Stuart, to just say where people can find him as well as an author and, also a booktuber in this capacity, at least.
Well, I'm honored to be one of the authors, including, again, the fabulous authors that came on the chat. And thanks again to everyone in the chat, Daniel and JCM Byrne and everyone else. I'm pretty sure that Philip, Stephen Arian, JCM, and Alan McRae are all on the Broken Binding. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong.
Folks, yeah, we're waiting for. I think we need to get more copies of the Iron Crown paperbacks, but they should hopefully come in soon.
Yeah. I am honored to have the first two books, The Drowned King and the Last Atlanteans, on the Broken Binding as well. I believe the website is brokenbinding.co.uk.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I will be in touch with Matt soon about having Lord and King, the third book, and now Alliance Pride, which will be published hopefully in the next few weeks, out on Broken Binding as well. You can find me www.plstore.com. That's the website for the books. On Twitter and social media, predominantly Twitter. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, but not as much. It's at PL Stuart Writes. But mostly you can find me beside my wonderful and talented co-host Taylor on her channel or mine doing page tuning. Again, we get to interview fascinating and wonderful people like Matt, who has done a lot for the community, Matt, and thank you so much for all you do. And I know you're humble, you like to stay in the background, but you're very much beloved and well respected in the community. So just keep that in mind. Finally, before we go blog, shout out to Beth Tabler, our boss, and Taylor and I are assistant editors there. So you can find my reviews there and on Goodreads. I like to read a lot. I like to write reviews, and most of my reviews you can find there. So, but once again, thank you so much for in the chat, and thanks again, Matt, for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. And final sign off from me. My channel is maybe between the pages. If you stumbled here somehow, welcome. I do lots of different videos on my channel, but I also do book calls, which are almost all broken binding at this point. So you can find a bunch of broken binding special edition book hauls on my channel, book reviews, as Pia mentioned also on Before We Go blog. But yes, thank you to everyone for joining us. And got an exciting year ahead, it seems like, for the Broken Bindings. So we'll all look forward to that. But
Thank you.
we'll sign off for now, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.